evening, and welcome to Rotor Talk Live Season 4, Episode 17, DJI Air 2S Best Consumer Drone Ever. I am joined by my absolutely fantastic co-host, Mr. Marcus Crawford, and Mr. Ron Brown will join us here shortly. Marcus, how are you?
Hey, good, Bill. You caught me. You caught me unpacking, and I'm charging batteries for the first time. I just literally have just this second taken it out of the box. So I've got all three batteries charging, and I'm going to plug the. Well, you can see the controller right here. I'm going to get it plugged in, and we'll get it all charged up, and hopefully get out to the canyon tomorrow. And try it out, right? I mean, that's
and I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to share this with everybody else. I had a little bit of a interesting mail call with DJI. They printed the shipping label last Thursday, but they never dropped it off until probably Monday night, and I'm going to get it on Wednesday. But I was sharing with Ron and Marcus. We were talking the other day, and I said, it wouldn't have been any good anyway. It's like Monday, it was just pouring down rain pretty much the entire day. Most of the morning, it was pouring down rain today too. So, it's just, you get those raining spells in Florida. It goes where it's just like it doesn't stop. So there's not a whole lot you can do. Well, I remember, and Ron was saying, it's very typical, okay? Mavic 2 Pro, it comes in, okay, pouring down rain the day I get it, okay? Pouring down rain. But that night, it was dry enough that I could go up for a quick flight. So I went ahead and I did that night. I had to it's just like, you can't not do that when you get it early enough in the day. You know what I'm saying, Marcus?
Oh, absolutely, Bill. So I got mine about, I don't know, I guess the UPS guy showed up about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And I've just been messing around here and finally just getting around to unboxing it. But I want to make sure that I get everything charged up over here so I'm ready to go tomorrow.
Well, let's give a nice welcome to everybody tonight. I want to make sure that we do that. Ted Bowman's here. Welcome. John Olson, Leonard Oglesby, Floyd Motes, Drone Guy is here. Steve Mack, Richard Celentano, Gene Fox is here. Stephen Ewing, welcome, Stephen. Glad you're here tonight. Of course, DeMarco is here. Hope you're not sleeping on the couch, DeMarco. That's always a possibility. Let's see who else. Drone Shots is here. Okay, all right. Well, we got a lot to talk about tonight. And one of the first things, like I said, Ron's going to join us here in a little bit. But one of the first things that I wanted to talk about, it's not the Air 2S, okay? It's like we're on Air 2S video overload right now. So I know I've watched my share. I know Marcus and Ron have watched their shares, and you're going to watch ours shortly, okay? But be that as it may, the first order of business I want to talk about tonight is it looks like the Fimi Mini is shipping. It looks like some people are getting some dates. Marcus, have you gotten any kind of a date?
Yeah, they said, it's weird when you look on AliExpress's website. It's almost like you can't find the same page every time. But on one of those pages, it said May 15th, and it's with everybody's favorite shipper, Singapore Post, which anybody that gets stuff from China, when it goes through Singapore, I don't know what they do, but it seems like it takes forever. But it's on its way, and that's, it'll get here when it gets here, I guess.
Well, I know Ron said something. He's got a date. I think he said like May 15th or something like that.
Yeah, I think his was his first was like May 8th, and now his is saying like May 17th or something like that.
Okay. Well, I unsuccessfully called B&H Photo today because that's where I ordered mine from, and I was on hold for 17 minutes trying to get some kind of update because when you check on their site, it has back ordered on there. So, but you never know. That's just a generic thing for them because it may be on its way. You don't know, what's going down with that. I mean, at all,
There are Fimi drones available, Bill.
Ah, the A3.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, I actually, it actually flew pretty good. I took it out yesterday, and
Yeah, I saw your video.
Pardon me, Bill?
I saw your video on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's been some interesting things. And I was out on both Drone DJ and Drone XL. And one of the things that I wanted to see, I think it's on Drone XL. And this just absolutely piqued my curiosity. Now, I don't know if you saw this or not, but it looks like, I'm going to get the article up here before I talk about it. It looks like DJI is adventuring into cars. I mean, did you see this?
Did see that article, but it makes sense. I mean, there's been talk that's exactly what Skydio would be doing as well. But yeah, they come up with all this obstacle avoidance stuff. It kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, wow. DJI Automotive will offer 3 advanced autonomous driving solutions: D130, D80, DJI parking. It's just very interesting. Now, realize something, starting up an auto company is not an easy task. And, even though DJI does have a lot of capital, that's, wow. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to get the capital from is the thing that kind of crossed my mind.
Well, Bill, did I misunderstand it? Are they actually going to build their own automobiles, or were they partnering with other manufacturers?
I think it sounds like they're going to DJI has launched a dedicated website to support this new and exciting part of their business. DJI Automotive is focused on bringing autonomous driving to car manufacturers around the world. So it sounds like you hit the nail on the head. They're going to be providing this to auto manufacturers. Okay, this autonomous driving here. And I have to say something. Okay, and this is DJI, in my opinion. Okay, and I think you and Ron would share this opinion. They make the best consumer drones on the market. Okay, there's no question about that. And their video capabilities and their still picture capabilities are the best out there for a consumer drone. I don't think I don't think I'd get too much of an argument on that. All right, but let's say their Skydio-like abilities, their active track. Okay, that needs a lot of work. All right. And if you guys saw it, and you probably saw this, and this was kind of a good segue for this a little bit. Did you see DC Rainmaker's video?
That was great.
Okay, that was great. Okay, but he had, he was using it, and it fell in the canal. Okay, I was like, oh my gosh, it looked like it was doing so well, and then boom. It hits the tree and it goes into the canal, and then he has the wherewithal to put a wetsuit on to go and try and find it. That just cracked me up. I don't know about you, but I was laughing my head off on that. Well, it just, in the long and the short of it, he's basically, what he's saying is, while it has great processing power, it can't handle that, and handle the videography, and handle the flight at the same time. Okay, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, his reasoning really kind of, you can have a big enough chip, but you're going to have a lot bigger drone to handle something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I just recently flew the Skydio 2 the other day, last week, out over the canyon. And one of the things that occurred to me about that is, DJI just doesn't have the tracking obstacle avoidance technology that Skydio does. Skydio is clearly the king of that, and DC Rainmaker's video really showed that. He showed how the Skydio would look for a gap to get in between the trees and follow him and so forth. It was more than just that crash. He showed how it really how it tracked just superbly. Now here's the flip side of the coin, Bill. When I was out at the canyon flying the Skydio 2 with the controller, it was just garbage compared to my DJI drone. And I'm not talking about range. I'm talking about how that control works. There's lag in the control. You don't get the precision with that Skydio 2 that you do with your DJI drone. So, you know, the way I look at it is, you know, I'm kind of glad I have both, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you know, it's like, here's, you know, let's take the best of both worlds, okay? Because Skydio has really kind of perfected that art, if you will, okay, the autonomous flight. Whereas, you know, DJI's perfected, you know, let's look at the other hand, you know, the stability and the accuracy of flight, you know, and kind of mesh those two together. That would, you know, because I know Ron said the same thing, you know, as far as autonomous flight is concerned, and just about everybody else, you know, the Skydio 2, that it's just spot on. And I know Brian Singleton, he's been after that too, you know, and again, the autonomous flight portion of it, but always, you know, I remember Ken Dono, I think it was the first video I saw, the Skydio 2, where somebody was using the controller, okay? And he was having so many problems with it. And in fact, he had Mike, Accelerated Heights, he had him fly his Mavic 2 Pro because he wasn't getting telemetry back, because that was before the telemetry was added to the app. Okay, so because he wanted to know, I mean, what a backwards kind of a thing. But, you know, to say that, you know, and Ken told me personally, he said, Bill, he said, as an autonomous drone, it's fantastic. As a drone like a DJI drone, it sucks. Okay, it's just, that's the way it is. You know.
Yeah, if you watched my video that I posted the other day, I got out there a little ways and I lost contact with the drone for a second. It kept giving me contact errors, right? Loss of control signal errors. That was my own fault. So one of the things that you have to do with the Skydio 2 is you have to turn off Wi-Fi on your mobile device. And your mobile device is then hooked via an OTG cable to the controller, and then the controllers have Wi-Fi to the drone. Now, if you leave Wi-Fi on your phone, often the drone will connect to your mobile device rather than the controller, and then that's when you have distance control issues. So the issues that people saw in the video I did, it was my own fault. I did not have Wi-Fi turned off.
Gotcha. That makes a whole lot of sense. You know, and it's frustrating because both of them have such incredible feature set as far as drones are concerned, but yet, you know, in that one area, they're just severely lacking. DJI has, you know, their autonomous flight is horrible. Okay, it really is. I mean, I
wouldn't call it horrible, but I don't think it's certainly not as sophisticated as
right. I would probably use the word as perfected as Skydio.
That's a better way to describe it.
You know, Skydio has it perfected. I mean, they got it pretty much nailed down. You know, it's just so impressive when you see the Skydio out there.
That's why you got to have both, Bill. You need a Skydio as well.
I know. You know, I'm. Well, DeMarco said he's not sleeping on the couch, but you may want to ask me when the Mavic 3 comes out. Okay. Well, one of the other things that I wanted to share here that I thought was absolutely fascinating was we had drone flight on another planet, okay? The Ingenuity, the part of the Mars rover, actually flew above the Martian surface. And I don't know if you saw, but somebody put a joking statement out by the statement guy of the FAA and saying they broke all these FAA regulations for a drone, and the owner's going to be fined, and NASA's going to be fined for it, and all this. It was just a big joke, but it was incredible. I mean, it went up, I think 3 meters was the whole test for this, And, it wasn't much, but it was incredible. I mean, it was just like, sustained flight of a drone on another planet. I mean, it really was historical. I mean, when you think about it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Did you see the video from the rover itself back to the drone? I mean, wow, that was, and of course it just went up and then came right back down. It was their first test, but it was pretty darn cool to see. Yeah, pretty slick.
Well, you wonder too, and you think about things. Gravity is different here than it is on Mars, and the atmosphere and everything. And it just behaved like a drone would,
Well, I thought about that a little bit. Think about this. So the atmosphere on Mars is only 1% of what it is on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So think how fast those props had to spin to get a bite into that thin atmosphere.
Yeah. That's what exactly. And that's what I tell people when, people, I would inevitably, and I inevitably get the questions, why shouldn't you fly above 400 feet? Okay. Well, it's not only, it's an FAA regulation. Okay. That's number one. But number two, and I think it's even more important, and you just brought it up. Okay. The higher that you go, the thinner the atmosphere gets. All right. And the reason that they call it a ceiling, okay, and planes have a ceiling, it's not because if they go up another 10 feet, they're going to break the ceiling kind of a thing. No, what that has to do with is how thin the atmosphere is at that altitude. Okay. And will it sustain flight? And will it sustain flight via the propulsion system that they have? Okay. And realize with a drone, it's not only the propulsion system, but it's also the lift. All right. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just was going to say, all of us that watch Sean Oz, World of Oz, because where he's at in Colorado above 9,000 feet, it's always a consideration for him when he goes up to those higher altitudes. I think he's got some mountain passes where he's up as high as 12,000 feet. And DJI does rate their drones by how high mean altitude you can take off. And often he is above what DJI suggests for their drones. And it's exactly what you're describing. There's just less atmosphere. And I'm sure it affects, I'm sure they could probably tune it, but they have to, tune them for the average. I'm sure that if they worked on it, they could tune them for that. But in any case, it's just something you should consider.
Yeah. And I think most people do. Most people, most people don't, don't bend the rules like that. Of course, there are a few who really kind of like to do that. This is kind of a good. Go ahead.
Well, I just was looking at Leonard Oglesby's comment, and I hadn't read that, but that's good. He says it's rated at 15,000 feet, the Air 2S.
Okay. Well, and that's a perfect segue. DJI Air 2S, best consumer drone ever. We got a lot to talk about. And I know one of the first things that I wanted to share was, now I know a lot of people were talking about, and I apologize that the camera's shaking, and I realized why. My monitor with the camera was on another desk separate from this one. So it's just like every time I touch, I'm trying not to touch my desk too much tonight so it won't shake all over the place, guys. So I do apologize for that. We'll get this corrected next week. But one of the things that a lot of people were very hopeful of isn't going to happen right now. And that is there's no plan to add goggle or motion controller support to the Air 2S at this point in time. Now, this article was out on Drone DJ, and it's stated here, DJI Air 2S does not support the use of DJI FPV goggles series or DJI motion controller, and there's currently no plan to add support for these devices. For further information, please pay attention to future firmware updates. Now, the article talks about it, and they kind of give a guesstimate, and their take on it is that it will probably happen after the Mavic 3 comes out, because they don't want to hit Mavic 3 sales, and the timing would be much better for it to come out at that point in time. Marcus?
I saw that Hey Kestelou disagrees with that article.
Really?
Yeah, he feels like there's going to be some firmware updates that we may see it sooner. But I saw it. I saw he made a comment on the Calgary Drone Group's Facebook page.
Okay. Well, we'll kind of keep an eye on that, because I know a lot of people were talking about that. I had a lot of people in my Air 2S group, saying, they're really hoping that would happen.
What was said was that the first few firmware updates typically are bug fixes for the drone and controller, as it gets out there in the public. And then after that, then they'll add features after they get the bug fixes figured out.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask you a question. All right. Now I've seen two people who have videos, and they basically are saying in these videos, okay, and they're both real good friends of mine, okay, Ken Dono and Billy Kyle. So you can sell your DJI Mavic 2 Pro, folks. The Air 2S is the king of the hill. What say Marcus?
I never had a Mavic 2 Pro. As you know, Bill, I had a Mavic 2 Zoom. So
yeah.
I don't think that I can comment other than the fact that I'm just tickled to death to have a drone with a 1-inch sensor now. So I'll get to try it out. But I will say I so respect both Billy and Ken's opinions on that sort of thing. And yeah, so it's probably so.
I'm exactly the same way with them. Okay. Now I can't speak for the Air 2S yet. All right. I need a sunset, and I need to get the Air 2S up pointed towards the sunset and see how that guy does. All right. But in the meantime, all right, what I can tell you is, and I think Ron touched upon it. All right. With the aperture. Okay. Now a fixed aperture versus a variable aperture. All right. Let's look at it kind of like, for most of us, okay, most of us who aren't Ron Brown, all right, okay, because Ron is a photographer by trade. He absolutely loves that. That's his passion, all right. So he's into, having that variable aperture to be able to dial in settings to make it just perfect, okay. For me, I'll do it every once in a while, and I don't know about you, Marcus. How are you with that?
Well, I guess what I would say is this: if you're a photographer and with a camera and you're taking closer in pictures, it's important to be able to adjust your aperture to get the depth of field that you want. Right.
Right.
On a drone, I don't know, because you're always shooting things that are out there, and you're not so worried about that depth of field of, say, something within 30 or 40 feet, right? So typically you're shooting things that are further out there, so it's not so important. Now, where it might make a difference is when you're shooting video and you're using an ND filter, and you're trying to get that perfect shutter speed, or I'm losing my mind here. Shutter speed that is half of what the half rule. I'm losing. Yeah. I'm getting caught up in my own thoughts here, but anyway, yeah.
No, I know.
The 180 rule, as Drone Guy is saying there, and I apologize for stumbling all over myself.
No. That's absolutely fine, because the big thing, and I got to thank our buddy Cliff Totten, okay, because I think he was in the chat last week, and he pointed out that the processor in this is so much better than the process in the Mavic 2 Pro. All right. And that's huge. All right. I think a lot of people, you need to, when you start looking at it on a granular level like this and comparing that processor is 3 years old. Okay. This is a brand new processor. It's going to be able to handle things that the Mavic 2 Pro didn't handle. Okay. So I think that's why having, them having some time out with it, Billy and Ken, that they can go out there and say, yeah, you can go ahead and sell your Mavic 2 Pro, because look what this processor can do on the Air 2S. Like we said, technology doesn't stand still. Okay, 3 years ago, it was a different processor than it is today. Okay, the one that we have out there today. And here's another thing, and this is something I'm going to throw in for everybody. All right, you did not make a mistake selling your smart controller. You know why? And this is a total off the wall prediction from me. Okay, I haven't seen a thing from anybody on this, but my guess is when the Air 3 comes out, all right, you're going to see a bundle with Smart Controller 2 on it, okay? Having a much bigger screen, OcuSync 3.0. Everything that was wrong with the first one is going to be corrected with the second one, and it's going to be nicely bundled with the Mavic 3. However, be prepared for sticker shock. I think that guy's going to be over 2K.
Two thoughts there, Bill.
Go ahead.
So, drone guy, help me out here. Yeah, frames per second and shutter speed. So your shutter speed is double what your FPS is, and a variable aperture can help you achieve that, as can ND filters. So I'm sorry for the confusion earlier. Thank you, drone guy. And then and then with regard to the smart controller, if you watch Heinrich Tech Drone Media, Heinrich Olsen.
Yes, Heinrich, yes.
Yeah, he did some tests with the smart controller and the Mavic Air, the Air 2S. And I don't, the thing, it could just be his controller. Who really knows for sure? But he was seeing lag in the controller, and it was enough that it was a problem for him. So, Bill, I don't know if that is just the age of that processor in the controller. I don't know, and it could have just been something specific to what Henrik saw. But in any case, just throwing it out there.
Well, Cliff's in the chat tonight. Thanks, Cliff. A Mavic 2 Pro uses a counterfeit Ambarella H3. It's not a real H3. They bought a generic image processor and painted a big H3 on it. Wow. Okay. Who knew? Well, Cliff knows, because Cliff knows everything when it comes to cameras. Thanks for that bit of information, Cliff. So they can come. Billy and Ken can come out and make a statement like that and say, okay, this is why we can say that at this point in time, the Air 2S is probably the king of the hill for consumer drones for DJI. I mean, really. Okay, because they've added that extra obstacle avoidance onto it. Okay, they've tweaked the flight time just a tad, not much, but just a tad. All right, and that never hurts with something like that. All right, I'm anxious to see how that camera is. I'm dying to get it. What I'm dying for is to have a sunset and to get it up there and to record that, because that's what sold Ron on the Mavic 2 Pro when we were at the beach. When he saw that through my lens, he saw that sunset on there, and he saw his, because he had his Mavic 2 up, or his Mavic Pro up, and he saw what a difference that was. I mean, it was just incredible, and that's what I am just chomping at the bit to get that. And of course, what's going to happen tomorrow. And I was talking to Marcus before the show about this. All right, it never fails. And Ron and I, we were chatting about it the other day. Whenever a new drone is coming your way, it never fails to be pouring down rain down here. And it was pouring down rain all day yesterday and part of the day today. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers and hoping tomorrow that it's not going to do that, and that it comes in at a decent time, that I can get batteries charged up, and then tomorrow night to catch a gorgeous sunset. That's what I'm hoping for. So
and Bill, so I know you do a lot of sunsets, as does Ron, and Ron even pointed this out to me. He goes, Marcus, typically you fly midday, and he's right. I kind of do. So a 1-inch sensor probably isn't going to do as much for me as it does for like you and Ron. Although who knows? Now maybe I'll try some sunset stuff.
Yeah, you need to, Marcus. I'm telling you, with this 1-inch sensor, it's just absolutely freaking amazing. It really just, the first time you do a sunset and you're looking through there, and then you see the results when it comes out, you're just like, wow. Okay. And even looking at it through your feed, it's just incredible too. And Cliff brings up a good point too. The Air 2S with 5.4K full pixel with readout, it smokes the Mavic 2 Pro. No pixel binning and no line skipping anymore. Yeah, you know, the more that we find out about the Air 2S, Marcus, the more it's just like it's the drone to own. It really is.
It is, and Cliff, thank you for that. I didn't understand a bit of it, but if it tells me that I get a better picture out the other end, I'm in.
Well, you know, it's one of those things for me. Matt, get that thing over the canyon ASAP. Well, we are joined by the esteemed Mr. Ron Brown. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well on National, DJI Air 2S Day. Bill, get yours up there for us to see.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf would say. Okay.
Is it true FedEx let you down, Bill?
FedEx did more than let me down, okay? They printed the label last Thursday, and then it didn't ship until last night, all right? That's the story behind that. DJI Select Priority Shipping, okay?
Yes, the select membership, and we joked before, when you stay loyal to the mothership of DJI and order straight from them, you're going to receive your drone last. Best Buy people got it like minutes after it's released. Amazon people, some people of them got the next day or whatever. Marcus has arrived today, so
mine's getting here tomorrow. So
I got a question for you, Ron. What do I do with all this stuff? All these things were in the box.
You got a couple extra props?
Well, yeah.
Hey, I got a question on those props. The Air 2 props fit the Air 2S props? Or are they interchangeable? I guess
no, they're not, because anybody that flies an Air 2S with white tips on the prop, on the end of the prop, we're going to know they're a pretender.
So, Ron, we were talking about before you joined us. Both Billy and Ken are basically saying, that you have the king of the hill now, and you can get rid of your Mavic 2 Pro. I'd like to hear it from our other esteemed expert here tonight. Are you going to sell your Mavic 2 Pro now?
I only got one flight in with a new drone because I got on Sunday. I flew basically in a little hurricane that day. Yesterday it rained, and today another like hurricane day down here. To sort of the sun's out, but the wind's whipping, and I was busy today, so I just didn't get a flight. I got one flight in, and the camera looks good, but I don't have any ND filters for it yet because I didn't get the fly more kit. I got the standard pack, so I'll have to go out to our friends at Freewell, who are going to have filters for the S, but they won't be available for a few weeks, middle of May. So the video quality looked good. I took a couple pictures. Everything looked good. I won't say it looked better than the 2 Pro on just one test flight. But I mean, some of the things about the digital zoom on this, and I don't know how many of those stops are lossless, but the digital zoom is incredible in this. And it looks terrific. Marcus, I want you to be on your bullet list. I want you to put that at the top and test out the digital zoom on that. And as you know, Bill, in the 2 Pro, we have those 2 different aspect ratios. And one's sort of like a 40 millimeter lens. That's the one that's kind of zoomed in a little more. And you have the one like it's a 20 millimeter lens. It's zoomed out for wide a little bit more. And I may be stating those things wrong, but we have a close in and a wide one, and it kind of gives you somewhat of a zoom effect with the 2 Pro, but not like this one does. So to me, that's one of the big things. And of course, I know we don't have the variable aperture on the new drone here, and to me, that's more of a big deal on pictures than it is video, because in video, I'm mostly worried about getting my shutter speed correctly. And I know some of our experts out there are going to say, well, the aperture does help control the shutter speed, and it does. But for me, only in really edge case scenarios. Most normal scenarios, I can, I don't really need the aperture to dial in the proper shutter speed. Marcus.
Well, Ron, I'm glad you came in, because I was trying to explain exactly that earlier, and I was stumbling all over myself. That's why you're the king, Ron Brown.
Yeah. I mean, what we're trying to say is, okay, like say the screen, you want to dial your shutter down, and say you're shooting 4K 30. We all shoot. Bill, you shoot a lot of 4K 30, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Mark, I know Marcus that I like 4K 30. So okay, so say you set your shutter to 60 then. Okay, most times if you don't have a real good ND filter in, you're going to be so overexposed you can't even see anything or whatever, unless it's near dark or whatever. So that means, you're going to have to, put a strong ND filter on, or put your shutter up higher than double the frame rate. But what the aperture does for you is, okay, when you're wide open, like a I think it's a 2.8, I believe, on this, and maybe the Pro. It doesn't matter. I'm just using number 2.8. That's going to leave the most light in on that aperture. But if you back it off a little, the 4.0 or 5.6 or 8 or whatever, you're going to let less light in there, and that's going to help. That's going to help make things a little darker. And, then you can keep your shutter closer to the 60 that you want to. Of course, iOS comes into play too. You can adjust that, all that with the manual features. And all those manual features are baked in to the S. I'm going to say the S from here on rest day. And I like the way that, Bill, you're going to love it. They put these camera controls down at the bottom right-hand side of the screen, so you no longer have to go into that side menu where you take photo and video, and you have to keep going back there to change your settings. Once you dial in what you want, say 4K 30 or photos, you can adjust everything at that bottom part where we used to just have a few basic things like EV and whatever. Now everything's down there under the manual thing, so it kind of makes
that's fantastic.
a little easier to
Ron, the other
set all
thing
the stuff up.
That's worth mentioning about that is that you can do like priority settings. In other words, you can leave certain settings on automatic and others on manual.
Yeah, and it has a little bell. It has a little button. Marcus makes a good point. It's a little button on the right-hand corner on the right-hand side. So you pop up ISO, and you can it's a slider. You can slide along to 100, 200, 400, whatever you want. But if you don't want to mess with that, you can just hit a button on top. Now it'll be an auto, but that doesn't mean everything's on auto. When you go to the next setting, that setting can be on manual, but you can alter the things that you're not concerned with.
For instance, white balance, right? That's the one that Ron has taught me how to use, and that's probably what I'll probably put it on auto and see where it wants to set it at. And if I like that, then I'll lock it in, put it in manual. That way it's not changing as I'm flying the drone.
And see, that's probably, as Ron pointed out, that's probably one of the most important settings for you because of the time of the day that you fly. Because you don't fly, Ron and I like the sunsets kind of a thing later in the day, where, white balance is always important, but it's not one of those critical. That's a critical thing for you because you're flying basically high noon, sun's up, it's bright, and no matter where you're going to be, that sun is really going to, and you're going to need to have a good balance there when you're flying. So that's a key thing for you, Marcus. It really is.
And even for Bill and I sunset guys, I like to take the white balance, and it may balance it perfectly, but I like a little more of the warm tones in my sunsets than the cool tones or whatever. So I kind of bump it up a little bit extra warm, to bring those gold tones in, rather than the sky may not be a little bit blue, but my yellows and oranges look better if I bump that white balance up a little bit. So in other words, I'm not ready like Bill and Ken to put my Mavic 2 Pro out on the corner with a for sale sign on it yet or whatever. But it's going to be a lot of further testing on the Air, on the S, the S. But the S is a strong contender, Bill. There's no doubt about it. And for most people, it will probably fit the bill at a cheaper price point. So again, I've just only had one test flight, and I was in high winds, Bill, and I had a couple issues that probably weren't the drone's fault. It was probably my fault or whatever. I saw a little bit of I saw a little props in the shop, as Lon pointed out last night on Drone Nation. They were all at low heights. So maybe it's a thing you only see if you have the drone kind of low. And I had a couple other small issues. I told Marcus, I have at one point turned and faced the sun. I saw a little bit of lens flare in the bottom quarter of the screen, but only once. Only once. Again, this could all be user error. I could just had to put it at the wrong direction at the sun. So I haven't tested enough to say anything bad about this drone yet, or get too giddy with the positives.
Hey, Bill, before we get too far past it, I wanted to point out Mike Roche's comment in the chat where he's saying that he sent his back because of the issues with the smart controller. He doesn't even want to mess with it until he can use it with his smart controller.
Well,
what are the issues with the smart controller?
Listen, I'm only going by one video that I watched, Ron, and that was Heinrich Olsen, Tech Drone Media, and he had a ton of lag, and he was able to actually show it on the screen, and it was significant.
Wow.
Well, I'm a little, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Okay, this is using OcuSync 3. Am I right?
Right.
Okay. What does the smart controller use? OcuSync 2.0.
Right.
So I think what's going to happen here is you're going to have to see a next gen smart controller with OcuSync, because it's not just software. There's a physical board in there, because I know, and the only reason I know that is because of our good friend Rick. He told us that. He said there's a physical board in there that decides, basically has the communications protocol and everything in there for OcuSync. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, I just am looking at the chat again, and I want to make sure we don't miss these guys. Matt Cundiff and Drone Guy are talking about range issues, and that's true. I remember Heinrich talking about that. And then Mike Roche is saying that Aldrin Asasio on Flight Path was having some issues as well. So,
well, I think I said to Marcus this in private. I had a thing where I flew it out to where I usually fly to the beach. I fly to the pier, which maybe is only 1,000 feet away, and it was warning me that I was have a weak signal, and I wasn't even that far away. So,
you were using the smart controller, Ron?
No, I was using the standard controller.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, a huge thank you to Bill from Metro Drones. Bill,
yeah, thank you, Bill.
Generosity is fantastic as always.
Yes.
And you do great. We know we really appreciate you and all that you do for the drone community. I can't say that enough. So yeah, well, I know Mike Roach had also shown he had some problems with the battery compartment in his. It was defective. I don't know if you saw those pictures.
Yeah. Well, that was disturbing, wasn't it?
What pictures? I missed this.
Mike posted them on in the battery compartment. That there was it was like pieces that were like loose or almost off, and almost to the point of you couldn't put a battery in there. I mean, you couldn't do that. And
well, guess what, Bill? We had Mike Wright in the show last night, and he received his. They were broken right out of the box. He had to send it right back.
Yeah, that little lip that's at the very top there. That's
they were broken right brand new out of the box.
So, guys, this is a good heads up for everybody. And Mike, thanks for pointing that out. And both Mikes, okay, Michael Wright and Mike Roach. Thank you guys for calling that to our attention, and make sure you check that out when you're going through. And Ron knows this, and Marcus knows this. You get giddy, you get happy with things. Okay, don't overlook things. Give your drone a good inspection, because if it's defective, okay, guess what? Send that bad boy back right away. Don't hesitate. Okay, do not hesitate. But you've got it from Best Buy. You're in like Flint, because they'll just take it back and you can get another one if they're in stock. Okay. But for me, I got mine from DJI because I had DJI. I was like Marcus. I didn't have as much credit as he did. I had about $100, and $100, it talks. All right. DJI credit. So I'd have to send mine back to DJI and fight the good fight with them. But I'm kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that we're good there. But I think that's a good thing. Make sure you inspect, and this just isn't for the Air 2S. Anytime you get a drone, especially from DJI, inspect that thing. You make sure it's 100% before you bring it up, charge it up, all that kind of good stuff. So, I'll get off my soapbox here about that.
That was interesting. That one of Michael Wright's TX it almost looked to me like somebody pried a battery out of it without pushing the buttons, right? Because both of those little lips were broken. That was an interesting looking situation.
Yeah, see, I didn't see his. I saw Mike Roach's, but I didn't see Michael Wright's. I'm probably go back and try to take a look at that again. But all in all, one of the other things, Best Buy took one day and got 10% off. Okay, Floyd Moats, that's a good deal.
That's great.
That'll work. 10% talks to me. I'll tell you that right now. Although I got to say this, after Saturday, we went to Best Buy. Okay. I'm going to be getting a whole lot of bonus cash. Okay. We got new TVs, new surround sound system. So yeah, Best Buy, the salesman had no idea what he was walking into when he saw us there at Best Buy on Saturday. That's all I have to say. He hit the mother load that day. Anyway,
Bill, I need to, before you move on, I'm just going to take a quick guess here. You said TVs and surround sound. Now, I'm just going to guess. I'm going to say Samsung.
Nope.
Really?
Sony TVs. I'm a Sony guy.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've been a Sony guy for about 15 years with TVs. You cannot get me to buy another TV. And I'll tell you what, the nice thing with this is, and this is so cool, all right? You hook up a Sony DVD player or Blu-ray player to their TV, that remote can control the TV. It's so integrated. The audio-visual receiver, okay? All I got to do is turn on that remote and the TV turns on and it automatically, the sound goes through your surround sound system instead of the TV.
Yeah, but Bill, you're gonna miss the experience I have, where I have 5 remotes all needed to operate the TV. Like, this turns it on, this changes the channel, this moves the sound up, this controls something else. Again, you have to have a whole desk full of remotes to make everything work on my TV.
Well, what's going to be fun is Best Buy has to come out twice. They come out and they do a walkthrough to make sure, like, our speakers are pre-wired, where the rooms need to go, that there's no obstructions in there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they come out another day. Okay. And this is just like, I'm just like beside myself. This is like, well, we've been without TV because DirecTV is getting installed this week, and we already have 2 TVs in the house. So we'll have some TVs in some rooms, but we won't have them everywhere. Okay. And, that's one of the goals was, room to room to room. It's just like, I want wall to wall TV. I'm at that point in my life. That's what I want. So it'll happen. So anyway, one of the other things, okay, I think we can safely say, kind of wrap things up with our Air 2S talk. And of course it will be ongoing, and be sure to watch, here's another thing that I want to say. Okay. You got to see, Billy's videos, Ken's videos, you got to see Kelly's videos, you got to see Aldrin's videos. Okay. Guess what? All right. Marcus is coming out with videos. Ron's coming out with videos. I'm coming out with videos. Okay. And I'm sure other guys will watch ours as well, because, everybody has a different take and a different view on things, and everything, things a different flavor. Okay. And I'll tell you what, you can learn from all of us as a group. Okay. Not just take, one person and that's the way it is. No, just, spread your viewing experience. Okay. There's going to be plenty of them out there, but seriously, watch Marcus's, watch Ron's, watch mine, other ones out there. You get different takes, different things, and you may pick up some things. You may learn some things. Okay. And that's a beautiful thing about all this is, this is out there for everybody to share. So
Ron always has a good point on that subject, Ron. And you want me to say it, Ron, or you?
You go ahead, Marcus.
Well, what Ron always says is, long after these drones have been out, 3-4 months from now, a year from now even, we'll still be flying them and putting out content. And when there is an update, we'll be talking about the update and what our experience is with it. Long after, some channels will have put that drone away and not flown it again, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're so right. Leonard Oglesby brought up a good point, and I wanted to mention this before we wrap things up here tonight. The Air 2S uses OcuSync 3 for video and OcuSync 2 for RC transmission. The extra range comes from the quad antennas. Okay, Leonard, thank you for that. Okay, I think that's a good point.
And Bill, you want to explain that to the folks that haven't seen that yet? The S has 4 antennas in it, 2 front and 2 back. Where the other drone, the regular Air 2, only had antennas, I believe, in the back. So that helps you. No matter how you have the drone oriented, you still probably have an antenna pointing your way. And this also, as Leonard said, this explains why you can use OcuSync 2 you should be able to use our OcuSync 2 to the smart controller because of the RC transmission goes to the O2.
Right. And yeah. I mean, there were hacks available. For instance, with the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0 and the smart controller, because they both use OcuSync 2.0. I learned it from Frank from Carolina Drones, but it was incomplete. There wasn't a lot you could do with it. And I didn't dare take it up and control it because I wasn't sure I was going to lose control of it or not. So I didn't do that. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, Bill, because I knew I wasn't going to have a smart controller, I made another purchase at the time that I bought the drone.
Oh, the lens hood.
Yeah.
The lens hood. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Smart man. That was very smart to do that.
We'll see.
All right. The ghost in the room, or I don't want to say the ghost in the room. Okay. Hubsan had an 18-second video out that something's coming on April 23rd. Okay.
And that's this Friday, Bill.
Number one,
Ron is under DNA.
Well, I would assume so. Okay,
I would have to not say anything in this next segment.
If the words cross our ears, Hubsan Xeno Mini or Hubsan Xeno 2 Mini. Okay, we never heard them. All right, you never heard them. All right. What was interesting was they gave the very briefest glimpse. If you watch that video, I mean, it's only 18 seconds, but you got to see a little bit of a glimpse. And, it's like, let me put it to you this way, okay? If you were to put $1,000 down on the odds on this being a Xeno Mini, okay, you'll probably get a lot of money because I'm about 99.9% sure that's what's going to be coming on the 23rd. What say you guys?
Well, Ron and I discussed this yesterday, I believe, and both of us said, well, if it was a Xeno 3, big deal, right? But if it's a Hubsan Mini of some sort, it will be interesting enough, and it also depends on the price point.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, what could they on a Hubsan 3 right now? What could they really offer? I mean, could they offer obstacle avoidance, a one-inch sensor, and all keep it at a decent price? But I don't know where they could go on a Xeno 3, keep it at a reasonable price point and still make it interesting. And the other, people said, well, they can make an FPV drone. I mean, I don't doubt that they'll clone the DJI FPV drone, but it's just too soon. It hasn't been around long enough for them to, re-engineer it and clone it yet. So it's got to be a Mini because they've had, DJI's put 2 Minis out. So they have plenty of time to research and develop something like that. But here's my question, Bill. I'll say it to you first, Marcus. I've talked about this. What do you think? The shot is. I mean, I'm not saying even a shot at being better than the Mini 2, but you think Hubsan's got a shot at maybe making as good or better of a Mini than Fimi?
They could, and they're going to have to hit a home run here. Okay, they got to have their quality control. All right, and I'm going to say this. Okay, the Xeno 2. barring that frickin' lens flare issue, okay, has the potential to be a good drone. All right, it really does, and I think you two would agree with me on that. And I know, it's like at first it was like a tale of two drones. Ron's was like stable, would hover, not any problem. Marcus's was toilet bowling all over the place at first, okay, and now it's better ever since probably some firmware updates, I'm sure. But that lens flare issue, okay, that's just something that you can try to work your way around it, but it's going to crop up every now and then. They got that corrected, okay, and they have it in a mini version here, okay. They could potentially hit a home run. Price wise, I'm going to say it's going to have to be in the same kind of ballpark as the Fimi. Otherwise, forget it. They're not going to sell.
Marcus and I talked about this a little bit too, I think offline. Okay, we all purchased the Fimi Mini at that startup price at like $319. But once the early bird sales are over with and all what do you think the Fimi Mini price will settle in to be? Once all these pre-sales are over with, what do you think the regular selling price will be? Say July 1st on the Fimi Mini.
I'm going to say $369.
Okay.
Bill, and what I'll say, that could very well be, but if it's that, how well is it going to sell? Another $80 and you're going to get the DJI Mini 2, which is just a phenomenal piece of technology. I'm just thinking, why would you,
let me be the devil's advocate there, Marcus. But what if I want waypoints and active track and all that and all these advanced features that come on like the Air 2, but they don't come on the Mini, but they do come on the Fimi drone?
Depends on how well they work, Ron.
Well, we're going to put you to the task of making sure, Marcus, we're going to put you to the task of making sure all these features work as described on the box.
We will. We will.
And you can't, don't pull any punches. If it doesn't do one of the smart functions well, you have to be totally honest with the viewers.
Am I ever not?
Well, and I'm not sure who it was. It may have been Matt Cundiff, and if it's you, Matt, go ahead and shout it out. But I think they said that they had kind of had a retooling with Fimi, and that this Mini is really going to be a notch above what you expect it to be in terms of the quality, in terms of everything that we see from it. So I think it was Matt that may have said that.
Well, I think he did. I think Michael over at the Fly Zone. I think that's
Fly Zone.
He got from his insiders. And I didn't know anything, but I told Marcus a while ago, or I hoped that Fimi just did repurpose parts and software from the X8, that they went back to the drawing board, Bill, and they built this new from scratch. So they would pull any of the issues over from the old hardware and software.
Here's what I'll say, Ron and Bill both. Let's hope that Fimi Mini is just a freaking home run. Let's hope that they knock it so far out of the park because, we need competition.
Knock it so far out of the park they get DJI's attention and said, man, we better make that. We better pump up that Mini 3 because we got competition out there.
Yeah. Frank. Let's hope it causes Frank Wang some sleepless nights.
Sleepless nights, right. Him going down yelling at the Fimi Mini team. You see this thing? It costs less than ours. You guys better stop working overtime. Like Steve Jobs was in the old days.
Here's the thing, going by experience that I have with Fimi, I'm a little nervous. I hope so. So what I think Ron and I have both said in the past is cautiously optimistic, right?
Yeah, it is conceivable that a company like Fimi turns the corner and steps out of kind of like the advanced toy grade and into the next category up. It is possible they make that move. But what Bill knows, you've seen sports teams over the years. They kind of aren't like a first division type of team. They're kind of floundering, and all of a sudden something gels and they step up into that upper echelon. So why can't it happen in the drone world?
I agree, Ron, 100%. And that would be the best thing in the world for Fimi, because, they've kind of been on that edge, okay? They've been on the edge of, it's still toy grade, but not quite up to where DJI is, okay?
What's the old saying, Bill? They were almost good.
Almost, yeah. Yeah, almost good. All right, and that really says a lot, because when Fimi does this, and if they hit a home run, like we're thinking that they possibly could with this, all right, it's going to grab everybody's attention. Okay, you're going to see those sales are going to go. It's going to go flying. Even at 369, I think it'll go flying. And
remember, and not only in the U.S., but it'll sell tremendously worldwide.
Oh, it does, because if you look at the makeup of the group that I have, that Fimi group that I have, everybody everywhere, Greece, South America, Germany, UK, everybody likes that Fimi. They really do.
Those people are going to need that professional battery. So it's an under 250 gram drone. Not as big deal to us in the U.S., but the foreign people will need that pro battery.
We're part 107. We got to put our tag on it no matter what. So it's not a big deal.
It's not really kind of a big deal for us.
The worldwide market, it could be a big deal, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the last question of the night. Okay. Hubsan Mini, yes or no to the buy button. Ron.
If it comes out with impressive enough specs and it's priced correctly, it could be a hit the buy button on Friday.
Okay, Marcus.
Listen, I'm going to go a step further. Even if it doesn't have impressive enough specs, I'm interested enough, and I've had enough history with Hubsan that I'm going to want it. Now, if they price it at $500 or something, no, of course not. But if it's reasonably priced, I'm going to buy it for sure. Like I said, I really have kind of followed Hubsan from the originals. Well, actually from the 501S.
Yeah, the 501 also.
So I feel like I should, and unless it's just priced some crazy price, I'll buy it.
Bill, will you be tempted if it's priced correctly and has the right feature set?
See, that's kind of tough right now, because, as you guys know, I was talking to Ron and Marcus. My Tacoma's up on lease, and I'm negotiating a deal on a new vehicle. So I need money for a deposit on a new vehicle. So otherwise, I would say a resounding yes. But here's the
Bill, you may have to wait for the Xeno Mini 2.
The Xeno Mini 2. Okay, here's the next question for you guys, kind of combined with this. Okay, Banggood or AliExpress when you're buying this new Hubsan?
Well, I have, my own experience with AliExpress is that they say it's going to be here May 17th. So if it is, that's a winner, and I guess I would go with them again. But again, that's only on paper right now. It hasn't actually arrived. Marcus, so I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say AliExpress, but I could go either way. Marcus?
Well, and I'm sure you'll be doing the same thing, Bill. I'll be talking to my Banggood rep and just begging them to send me one, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
hey, you guys need me to review that drone, I'll be begging them to just send me one.
And meanwhile, they'll volunteer to send Marcus 5 more Beast drones.
That's probably that's about the size of it, Ron. Yeah, they wouldn't send me the Fimi Mini, but they were happy to send me this guy. But at any rate, what you missed one choice there, Bill. Direct from Hubsan.
Or direct from Hubsan.
Yeah, remember you can order. They have their own website. You can order direct. Yeah,
direct. Yeah, and
or what's the unofficial Hubsan site? They come out of New York City.
Hubsan US.
Hubsan US.
Yeah.
So,
well, guys, let's wrap things up, because I know Ron needs to get over with Mikey. So, Marcus, closing thoughts.
Yeah, so that's an exciting week. I get to fly this new drone, and then on Friday is the first drag race of the year. So I'm going to be out with the at the Club Challenge series out at the drag strip with my Corvette.
I'll give you a chance to test Active Track 4.0 out.
Active Track 4.0 on that Corvette.
See if it can hang with the Corvette.
Launch control, baby. But yeah, so yeah, and we're all vaxxed up now. Here's the problem, guys, is I've been growing this hair out. I have no excuses anymore. I'm going to have to go to the barber shop pretty soon, I think.
The barber barber said, "Who's this guy? Who's this stranger walking in?"
Yeah.
He'll charge you double for cutting all that hair.
Yeah, that's probably true. Anyway, listen, it's kind of exciting with some new drones coming out. So, and we got some pretty good. This time of the year is among the best times to fly your drone. So everybody, just get out there and fly and have fun. Ron Brown.
Yeah, like Marcus, I'm looking forward to, putting this guy through his paces more this week. I've been a little busy. I think I've got some bad weather coming the next 2 days, but then I think I got stretch of good weather coming. So I'll be throwing, I got a little short video I'm going to throw out in the next day or two on this, and then hopefully I can make some more kind of informed videos going forward. But, what I've seen out of it so far, it's impressive, reminds you, much of the first Air 2, with the upgraded camera, the sensors, and the O3. So, again, I'm not going to get too fanboyish, overexcited about it yet until I get a lot of flights under my belt. But looking forward to test out, looking forward to see what Hubsan has to offer on Friday, and really looking, Bill, I know everybody's gaga over this, but I'm kind of really looking forward to that Fimi Mini coming in next month too, hopefully. So, I'm going to throw it back to Bill, and I want to wish Bill good luck on his new entertainment setup here when his Sonys arrive, and good luck on his car negotiations. And I think I'm busy. Bill's the busy man.
Oh my gosh, it's just like, okay, it's like my 8.5, 9 hour work day. It's like it flies by because I have. I'm trying to see who's coming today, because the other day we had, they give you 2 boxes of complimentary tile in case your tile break. We've had guys come in and fix doors and this is missing this, or this needs touched up paint. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, I just need to clue you in on one thing that you said there, Bill. That tile isn't complimentary. You paid for it.
Oh, I know that. Trust me. Because the next 20 plus years, I know we paid for it.
Yeah.
But it's like there'll be a knock on the door. It's like, who is this? And I wrote it down. See, what I did was I wrote it down on a spreadsheet. All right. But I should have my spreadsheet up. So I'm looking at it all the time on another screen. I don't. And there's a knock on the door. It's like, who is it now? I'm like, and then I realize who it is. Oh, yeah. Come on in. And it's like, But this too shall pass, okay? I put together a desk. I put together a lateral file, solder, okay? I got another solder lateral file to put together this weekend. And yeah, but my room's taking shape. Probably within a week or two, I'll probably have my room set up the way it's really kicking some good butt here. And I got some exciting news. Ron and Marcus already know the news, but I got that coming out real shortly. We're going to have a nice kickoff on that. I'm probably going to have a live show just to kick things off with that. So be looking for that. I'm going to be giving away things, guys, okay? So you definitely want to tune in for that, all right? So with all that being said, be on the lookout for Ron's coming up with videos. Marcus is going to come out with videos on the Air 2S. Yours truly will do that as soon as I get a chance to. As always, guys, it's a great day to fly. Thanks so much. Take care.
Good night.
Bye now.